made for elevation, and the soldier won't surrender. Faith is like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard, love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath when you're crying from the cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up, heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up, heart is beating faster, feels like thunder, magic static. Call me a fanatic, it's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up, it's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping and the shadows could be making history. Through the fire, on the water, used to be a slave, but now you are a conqueror.
They can take my heart, they can take my breath when they're crying from the cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up, heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up, heart is beating faster, feels like thunder, magic static. Call me a fanatic, it's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up, it's our resistance, you can't resist us. We're rising up, rising up, we're rising up, rising up, we're rising up. This is how we rise up, it's our resistance, you can't resist us. This is how we rise up, heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up, heart is beating faster, feels like thunder, magic static. Call me a fanatic, it's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up, it's our resistance, you can't resist us.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. Now, I expected to be sending out a message today about canceling the show because I thought we were going to be without power. And it's really disturbing and annoying and irritating that with all the technology we have in the world today, that the weathermen, and Jamie had brought this up in the comments before, that we actually have better info on storms 20 years ago than we have now today with all the technology. And I'm kind of conflicted on why that is. Is it that our technology, that we're relying too much on the technology on the computers, where before, back in the day, you actually had weathermen that actually knew really how to calculate things? Maybe they were doing it a little bit better. Or is the weather turned into what cable news has turned into? And that's not and when I say that, I mean that it's no longer about being right. It's about being first and being the first one and to be able to terrify the public the most. Because I think that's what it's come to. If you could be over dramatic and you could just put fear into the people, it keeps them captivated into what you're saying. And I feel that is probably where it's gone. But before I get too far into my tangent on that, for those of you who may be new to the show, welcome to the show. I'm Joe Vollano. I am your host and your guiding light through, again, all this craziness and madness that's going on in our world today. It is complete friggin' chaos, not only in this in the States, but around the world. And unfortunately, I think it's due to some of the things that are happening here in the States, or the decisions being made down in Washington, why this world is so screwed up. But we're going to get into that if we have some time. I try not to talk too much of the the national politics and the world politics until we at least get through the stuff we need to get through here locally first. But again, we were just talking about the weather, and I want to know what you guys have been seeing. So if you want to call in, 203-679-9610, you're always welcome to be part of the show. The show's always more entertaining when you guys call in. Or if you want to email, you can even email me your pictures, straighttalkjv@gmail.com. I know a lot of my customers, because for those of you who don't know, Phil Orb does a lot of business down in the marinas. A lot of them canceled this weekend because they knew what was coming. And again, we all knew, or well, at least we all thought, that we were going to have catastrophic winds and storm surge and everything else going down at the beach. So a lot of the customers took the boats out of the water, and those who didn't took them upriver where they're a little bit more sheltered. And then we get this. And then we get what we got today. And I don't want to seem like I'm wishing ill on the state, and I want to see destruction, but I just want to see a little bit of accuracy. And, we talk a lot about accountability on this show. And where is the accountability for these weather men and women who get it so wrong time and time and time again? And they just scare the shit out of everybody. It's like the kid that cried wolf. They keep saying it, and when it doesn't happen, eventually we're all going to come, mind numb to it, and we're going to be like, we don't care. And then something's really going to happen. I fear that we have come to a time where, again, the weather has become cable news, where it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. It matters who could get there first and who could scare the crap out of the public. Because that seems to all they try to do is just scare the hell out of you. And then when they're wrong, they can just turn around and say, well, you know what? It's the weather. It's the weather. It's a non-perfect science. But like I said, we had better forecasting 20 years ago, 30 years ago than we have today. And we have all of this technology today. So there's something going on there, whether it's incompetence of the weather people or it's their bosses, it's the news directors saying, hey, you got to put fear out there. And come on, fear has worked. Look at coronavirus. It's worked. They know fear works. There's plenty of people out there that are more than willing to sit there and be glued to their TV because they're scared to crap out of what's coming, even when there's nothing. So it's sad, but it is the reality we're in. So now it comes to us to say, hey, do we trust these people or not? Or can we find a source that is trustworthy? But unfortunately, I've been looking through all the weather accounts today, and they're all saying the same thing. So I think I fear it is just the times that we are in where they know fear will get them ratings. And without ratings, you don't have a TV station. So I think that's probably more likely why we are where we are today. So, but I'm taking it, Joe, you mean my nice shirt? I figured I was going to be outside in the tropics. But unfortunately, by the time I got out of the house, it was sunny out and not much wind. So, it was a bummer. I mean, I love storms. I'll be the first to say I love to sit there and watch storms. I was loving the rain coming down. I think it's just a great thing to watch. I think it's just Mother Nature at its finest. It could humble you very quickly, especially if you're a boater out in the water and you get stuck in a quick storm. You realize just how small you are in this world when you're out on the boat, and next thing you know, a passing storm that you didn't expect comes by. And it throws you all over the place. Again, it just shows you what Mother Nature can do. So you have to take her seriously. But again, these kind of weather predictions do not help in that. And that's how people eventually will get themselves hurt when they don't. When they start getting complacent and they take in Mother Nature for granted is when she'll really give you a kick in the balls, and that's when bad things could happen. But that's all I'm going to say on that. It is quite annoying to me. But like I said, I think it's a sign of the times where, again, fear conquers all and ratings conquers all. And that's all the news is about, is ratings. So we have to try to be as vigilant as we can and just do our own research. I mean, I was keeping my eyes on the radar all day today. So, but it is what it is. At least we know what we're up against. So again, I welcome everyone for joining us. Again, I see the chats are blowing up. So by all means, I try to keep up on the chats. A couple of things I want to talk about. First of all, I want to recap our conversation with the mayor. It's done very well. I think it's over like 2,500 views already from the city of Meriden. So that's a great thing. I always like to see that. That means that people are seeing it and people are being engaged and people care about, what actually happens in this town or in the city. So the fact that over 2,000 people have watched it warms my heart, not only because, I like to know that we're doing this show for a reason, but it also means that people are being informed and people are taking notice of, what the politicians and what our city representatives are saying. So, listen, I think it was a great interview. I went back and listened to it a couple of times because there was a couple of things I wanted to hear for myself that I might have misheard during the show. But I think the one thing I never got an answer on, listening to the show again, is how he feels about what the council is doing as far as segregating trying to divide and segregate our constituencies via race. Because I think, again, that is probably the most dangerous thing that is happening in the city. And hopefully we'll have him back on in the future so he could actually, kind of dive in on that and give us some clarification a little bit more on why he feels that way. Because at the end of the day, some people will sit there and say, well, that's really not all that important that, he's not doing it. But it is important because, in his remarks at when he took the nomination for the Democrats, he said how well they were working together and how they look to continue on working on moving the city forward in what they've been doing in the past. And so to me, it's very vital to that. I know the distinction on whether or not he is for this kind of stuff or he is not. So that's one thing I do want some clarification on. Other than that, I think it was a pretty good interview. I think he was pretty straightforward, which is, again, every time I I request a guest to come on, I send them a text message or an email about 2 hours before the show, and I give them a rundown of the show, of what we're going to be talking about and everything else. Because, again, this show isn't meant to play gotcha. This show is for information for you. If I want to play gotcha politics and gotcha in journalism or whatever you want to call it or talk, and I could easily do that. And they could easily, that's not what this show's for. That's not what you guys would get out of it. You would get nothing out of that. This show is meant to make sure that you are an informed voter and you're getting all sides. You all know my side. I will bring others in to give their side. And that's what this show is all about. So again, for any guest that comes on here, you will not, this isn't about, playing politics, which again, you're not going to bullshit my audience either. And that's in my email that I send out. Just as long as you don't try to lie to my audience and you don't try to spin them, we're going to get along very well on the show. We're going to be very respectful. If I see that you're trying to mislead is when the gauntlet's going to come down and probably things will go a little sideways for them. But I haven't had a guest yet come on here and try to do that. I think Mr. Cardona maybe tried a little bit before we recorrected him and kind of got back on track. But I think the mayor did actually a very good job, and I'm glad to see that a lot of people are responding to the show and that they are watching it. So again, that is good, and I thank the mayor once again for coming on. I know some people probably tell him, I don't know why you would want to do that. Why take a chance? But again, I think if you look at anyone else that's come on, we are pretty fair here. So we will continue to be so. So as far as the mayor's spot here. I think he did a good job, and I thank the mayor for coming back on. But again, we have a lot more stuff to talk to. Yes, we had another shooting in the city it was early this morning, or last night. It was like 1:30 this morning. There was a shooting over, they said it on Grove Street, but I think it ended up behind East Main Street. Just before, I think 55, they found the gentleman in the back of it. So our condolences go out to that family. They didn't say who it was. It doesn't really matter. It's just another illustration of what's going on in the city. And again, when criminals do not fear the police, when criminals do not fear prosecution from our attorney generals and everyone else in between, I just broke my pen. This is the kind of stuff that happens. Our police try to do a great job at getting these gangs and these people under control. But, they can't be everywhere. So, and they have a lot going on too. So, again, it's just sad that we have another murder in the city. And that's where it's at. So hopefully we'll get some more information on that as time goes ahead. But as of right now, we have not gotten anything else out of the police department. And if anyone else hears anything else, by all means, feel free to put it on there. We've had a lot of burglaries in the city, especially one that really irritates me. Maloney's Bar out on the west side has been hit twice in a week. Wise Guys, one of our favorite places and a friend of the show. They were hit a couple nights ago, and hopefully they're going to find these people. I mean, again, and they did it at 4. From what I was looking at the security team, it was like 4:00 in the morning. So, I mean, that's kind of late for a robbery. Usually I would think about 1, 2 o'clock in the morning where it's really dark out. But 4:30, I mean, it's getting kind of light outside this time of day. So, again, people keep vigilant and make sure you're locking your doors because a lot of car burglaries are back out there again. I know my truck got rummaged through a couple weeks ago because I'm an idiot and I forgot to lock my door on my truck. Obviously, I don't keep anything in my truck, so it didn't really make a difference. But again, it's more of an annoyance than anything when it comes to stuff like that. But just lock your doors. And of course, for these businesses, I feel for you. Make sure you have a security camera and make sure it's connected to something so we can keep track. But of course, wearing masks and gloves is just so hard. Hopefully somebody out there in the public will be able to help out Wise Guys and Maloney's. Because I know if anything else, there's always someone that talks. But unfortunately, I'm sure these people did not come from Meriden. They usually don't. Usually when they hit a place up, it's usually they're not from the same city. So it always makes the job a little tougher. But I feel for you guys out there, and I hope they catch whoever did it. And if you're in the public, by all means, please make sure you're visiting these places and make sure you're showing your support. When they lose that kind of money, sometimes it's kind of hard to regain. So make sure you're supporting those people. Maloney's and Wise Guys, they both do a lot for the city as far as donations. So make sure you try to kind of support them now that they need the help. So I always like to support those who support others. So make sure you get out there and visit Wise Guys or go out there and visit Maloney's. I'm not a bar guy, so I'll get there once in a great while. But I do go to Maloney's for the live music when it's there, and of course I love Wise Guys for all sorts of kind of food. So that's where we'll leave that. And again, it's the sign of the times where we're at. But if we're all stay vigilant and we all keep an eye on each other and watch out for each other, we could fight through this and we'll be a better off community for it. So, excuse me. I had my computer I don't know if you guys, my computer system, while I enjoy the way it's set up, it's for some reason, it keeps fluttering on me. And look at that. See, it wants to sit here and be on the show too, as I'm going through here. I'm not much for reading through Facebook anymore. I kind of find that it is, I don't want to say annoying to me. But I'll post, here's my day. I post something in the morning, usually something to get a reaction out of people. And then I go about my day. And then I go back at night and I sit there and I read through all the comments. That's usually the way my Facebook of the day. So, some of them have been pretty interesting, but I fear that some people in this community do not have I don't want to say a funny bone. You gotta stop. I'm gonna say this as a public service announcement. If you follow my page, you must have a sense of humor. Everything. I can find humor in anything. And if you can't, then we're probably not very good friends, because listen, I am all about making light of situations. And that's what I do. Am I provocative sometimes? Yeah, I am. Because you know what? That's what I do. That's what I do. Will I make you think? Yeah, I will. Because that's what I do. I want you to think for yourself. I don't want you to sit there trying to, just trying to plagiarize what someone else wrote and then come back at me with that. That's just nonsense. So people need to have a little bit of a sense of humor, please. And if you're on my page, either whether on my personal page, have a sense of humor, please do me a favor and just hit that unfriend button, so I don't have to tolerate those kind of comments. But I'll leave it at that. We have some election news in the city here right now. Obviously, if you guys read the newspaper, it looks like the candidate from Area 1 on the Republican side has resigned or vacated that nomination. So they do have another candidate. I think it's a pretty freaking awesome candidate too. I was reading up on him as I got the information that he was going to be a possible candidate. Norberto Gonzalez, and anyone who doesn't know who he is a lifelong Meriden resident. And he is the owner of Broad Street Pizza, which has been a staple in Meriden for the last, 30 years now. I think they opened in 1991. So Norberto has been there. I remember Norberto all the way back from the St. Stan's days when my son went there, because they were the ones that delivered pizzas every Friday. I know he does a lot with the Board of Education. But so he is the new nominee on the Republican side for Area 1, which covers downtown. That was held by Frank Scotto until just a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to hopefully have him on. I did have the opportunity to meet with him last week or a couple of days ago. So I'm very excited about it. He seems to be a very strong candidate, very knowledgeable on the city. Obviously, he's been here his entire life. So hopefully we'll have him on the show in the next couple of weeks, and we'll see what his plans are for the city of Meriden. Again, it's always good to have someone who's seen it all, and from the conversations we had, he has about seen it all. So, but then I also saw some troubling comments from certain current councilmen. And, again, when it comes to Facebook, I try not to go into the weeds. And when people send me certain things, I take it on face value, and then I go and research it. But for many, many years, I've always had issues with Councilman Rohde. That's been no secret if you've been on this show. To me, he is just the most hyper-partisan person in the entire city. I think he is personally responsible for a lot of the issues that have gone on in the city because he's been there for so long. And this is also a man who, again, has not only been councilman, he was a majority leader. He was also mayor. And again, I believe he had his hands in everything over the last 30 years. That I think this is nothing I don't say directly to him. I think he is responsible for a lot of the issues that have gone in the city. Whether you're talking about downtown, if you're talking about, down the west side, he is responsible for the financial and the fiscal irresponsibilities of this city for many, many years. So, and for him to come out with comments there, and the thread on the post was talking about the violence, and the question was, well, why are there not heavier penalties for if you damage a government building or like the White House? Or they were talking about the insurrection, obviously, on January 6th, because that's all Democrats really want to talk about. They don't ever want to talk about, Portland, where they're jumping over fences on federal property and trying to light the courthouses on fire and hurt the police department. They don't want to talk about any of that. They only want to talk about, January 6th. Any liberal, that's their focus, and that's it. And so they were talking about that, and someone was making comments about, death to someone killing another person. And then someone asked a rather malign question is, okay, well, the police officer that shot the one person that was killed actually during the insurrection, as they call it, was an unarmed white woman. And this counselor came back with, she deserved it. And then the post was immediately ripped down. But for a sitting counselor who sits there and demonizes our police department about use of force, the fake use of force, by the way, because there is no evidence that there is a police use of force issue here in the city of Meriden. But for someone who believes that there is, and then to sit there and say it's okay to shoot an unarmed white woman and then won't answer why, and then, of course, like I said, the post was ripped down, I think it's very disturbing. Now, I know Mr. Rohde because, again, he has come at me many a times on social media, which, again, I don't mind. I'm a big boy. But to sit there and say something like that, I think is extremely disturbing and should make people pop their heads up and open their eyes and say, whoa, wait a minute. Because I'm more interested in why he said it, and he still hasn't explained it himself yet. Why would you say something like that? Why would you say anyone deserves to die or deserves to be shot? Because I don't think anyone deserves that. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Whether you're a liberal, you're a conservative, that doesn't matter. Every life is sacred. And it should always be that way. It should be meant to be that. It's meant to be that way. So why would anyone say that anyone deserved anything, especially an unarmed person, is very disturbing and troubling. And again, it should make you open your eyes and open your ears and say, what is going on? What do these people really think? Because these are the same people that are, again, trying to push this whole police brutality thing and this anti-police rhetoric. They're pushing this. But yet these are the comments that are coming out of their mouth. It's very disturbing. And it's something that needs to be addressed. So if you haven't, again, I wish that the post, obviously, like I said, the post was ripped down by the administrator on it. So, but I know there are some screenshots of it. I know I couldn't get it to come up onto my computer so I could show it to you. Because again, I think the visual of it, I think is 10 times more damning than me just sitting here saying it to you, what he said. I think the visual of what he said, I think serves much better. Yeah, the Board of Ethics is a joke. I know everyone always says, we need to go to the Board of Ethics with this. We got to go to the Board of Ethics with that. The Board of Ethics in the city of Meriden is an absolute joke. They never find anything that's a conflict, even though, like I said, half the city council actually works for a nonprofit or for the city itself, and which I find all sorts of conflict of interest. And we talked about, Mr. LaRue, and now, now we have Crystal Blake, the councilwoman from Area 3, who again has joined the nonprofit team. So we do got a lot going on in the city, though. Like I said, Monday, I think Dan Zabrowski just put it up there. Monday, the newly appointed American Care Money Steering Committee will get together. And I think that's at 6:00 in City Council chambers. That's an organizational one. They're not going to be actually talking anything real serious about where the money is going to be spent, even though that money should be spent, I think, on the water department, so that it could keep costs down and keep rates down for the residents of the city of Meriden. But we'll see where that turns out to. Excuse me. But a lot of great questions that have been coming in onto the email, and we haven't really had time over the last couple of weeks to go through. Actually, really in the last month to go through them. So I figured we'll go through some of them today. Let me just open up my email here so I can pull them up. So this first one's from Debbie, and Debbie is from Berlin, and Debbie is a very hardcore conservative, and she's wondering why I let the mayor dance around some of your questions. Now, I don't think he danced around them. I think he did answer most of them pretty straightforward. I know, obviously, he's going to use some political speak in there. Every candidate does that. But I don't think he got around anything. So I will disagree with you on that. But I definitely don't think we allowed him off the hook on anything. Again, this show is not meant to be a back and forth on things that really are minuscule in the grand scheme of things. This is to get as much information out to the public as possible. And I think every guest that has come on here, I think, has done that. So again, I'll just thank the mayor for coming on, and I think he did a fine job on it. And I think just like Elaine Cariotti came on, she did a fine job on what she was doing, on giving her points. So, and I think that's going to be a good race. I think it's going to be another one that we're going to follow very closely and see what happens. But again, if you want to be a part of the show, 203-679-9610 is the phone number. You can feel free to give us a call or email us at straighttalkjv@gmail.com. So you can get and be a part of the show on either one of those. So let's go to the next question that we had. So this was a good one. This came from Roger in Meriden. And the question was, how do you feel about Ray Orlett working for being a police officer and Ken Morgan being the fire chief, and then both running for city council? And I think we did address this a couple of weeks ago. Listen, there have been plenty of people over the years that have worked for the city and been a counselor, whether it was Kathy Batista, whether right now Michael Cardona works for the Board of Education. And of course, Ray Orlett, he's the candidate for at-large for the Republicans. He is currently a police officer here in the city of Meriden. In fact, he's a corporal in the city of Meriden. But the issue I have with is with Mr. Morgan. And it's not, my issue isn't whether he's running or not. It's what happens, God forbid, he wins. Because one, I don't think he's a good candidate at all. I don't. Is he a smart guy? Absolutely. Is he a good chief? He's a great fire chief. Was he a good city manager for the brief time he was there? Absolutely not. Is he a good politician? Absolutely not. And in my eyes, hopefully he'll come on the show and maybe he'll be able to turn me around. I don't know. I got a lot of questions for him. And not only for this year, but I have a lot of questions for him for when he was a city manager. that maybe can ease me up on my concerns with him running now, because he did a lot of things that I was totally against as a city manager. A lot of things he let slide as a city manager that I did not agree with. And if that's his leadership style, then my concerns are valid. But we'll find out. But I have no problem with him running. That's absolutely his right to do as a Meriden citizen. If he wants to run for public service, I always say that's great. But if he is to win, I believe he would need to resign as fire chief, because there's one thing to work for the city. There's another thing to be running a department in the city where you have where every decision you really have has a direct effect on your job and your department. So that's where I really have the issue with. So if he was to win and then resign from as fire chief, I have no problem. If he's trying to keep both, that's a huge, serious conflict of interest problem in my eyes. And that's where I said it was a couple weeks ago when I spoke with the Record Journal when they called me on it. I said the same thing there. It's my stance now. But if Mr. Morgan wants to come on the show and kind of clear the air on it to everybody, he's more than welcome to come on the show. He knows my number. He knows the email address. He is welcome here anytime. Any candidate is welcome here anytime. They could call in at any time. Any candidate could call in at any time if they want to talk about something. If they think it's something you need to know about. Now, don't be trying to blow up my phone and trying to use my airtime all the time, because I will cut you short. I'll give you a fair warning. I will cut you short. But this audience is here to be informed on what's going on. Oh, absolutely. And I think, Laura, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Most do. But again, unfortunately, I'm going to sit there and say it's all the Democrats. So she said most people on the council or running for council can benefit from their position, whether it's nonprofit, family-owned business or, yes and no. You look at the nonprofits. Unfortunately, again, let's go from all the areas. Area 1, Jelks, and Cortez. I believe Cortez works for the state, but Jelks works for a nonprofit for the state. Area 2, you have LaRue Graham. Obviously, the conflict of interest there is he's the Boys and Girls Club. And then the other area 2 is Nicole Thomasetti, which I don't know what Nicole Thomasetti does, to be completely honest. So I'm going to leave her out. Area 3, there's nothing Dan Bernay would benefit from being on the council, because he works for a private industry out in Middletown that has no effect, that has nothing to do with the city. And then you have the Democrat on the other side. You have Blake, which just took that assistant as an executive director, which again, another nonprofit for the Boys and Girls Club that gets money directly from the city. And then you got Area 4. You got Bob Williams, who has, nothing really goes on in the city. He's not the commander of the American Legion anymore, so no one can sit there and say that. And then you got Mike Carabetta, who again does not work for anything in the city, and he is a general manager of a restaurant up in Manchester. So Mike has no conflict with anything in the city. And then you have at large, and you got Bruce Fontanella, who again does not benefit from the city. He's a Democrat, does not. Then you have Chad Cardillo, which again he does. He's a teacher here in the city. So, and then you have, then you got Cardona, who, again, works for the Board of Ed. And then who am I missing for at large? Crap, who am I missing? At large candidates are. Man, I'm at a loss for who my last at large is. Why is it drawing a blank for me? Come on, guys, help me out here. I got Fontanella. I got Cardillo. I got Mike Cardona. Who is my last one for at large? Why am I drawing a blank here? Rhodey. Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Rhodey. Do you know why? I wish Mr. Rhodey would disappear. I wish he would disappear. So, yes, Mr. Mike Rhodey is the other at-large counselor, which, again, hopefully not for long. I just wish he'd go away sooner than later, because like I said, I think he is exactly. I'm trying to block him out there, Laura. To me, he is like a cancer for this city. He really is. I think this city would be much better off if he just went away. So I believe that then, I believe that now. So, and I know he'll never come on this show, but I wish he would. I really do. I wish he would just call up onto this show. We could have some great conversation. So that's where I feel on this whole Ray Orlett running and Ken Morgan, who's the fire chief, running. I think they're apples and oranges. I think, like I said, no one can sit there and say anything about Ray running, because, again, we have people on the council now that already work for the city, and it's never been an issue. Now, so they want to make it an issue, but having a actual director of a department on the city council, huge conflict of interest, and hopefully we'll have more on that as the time goes. Like I said, maybe I'm hoping Ken will come on. I know Ray's going to come on probably next week or the week after. Yes, it is my birthday tomorrow. Yes. So I thank you for those who are sending birthday wishes. I thank you. I try not to think of it. West Haven has done it, man. Look at that. Nicole's on from West Haven. They have 3 fire chiefs, don't they? Don't get me started on West Haven politics. That's a total clusterfuck down there when it comes to the fire department. Have they fixed that yet, Nicole? I know they had 3 different fire districts with 3 different fire districts. You want to talk about a waste of money? Oh my God. We won't even get into that. Yeah, they do. You know how I feel about wasting money? West Haven blows my mind. Actually, our finance director, Kevin, used to work down in West Haven. We used to have conversations on that. It's just, he was the finance director for West Haven before going out to Watertown, I believe it was, before he came here, which, again, has been great. I'm sure it's gotten worse. It could only get worse. But again, thank you everyone for your birthday wishes. I do feel old. I try not to think about it because, sooner or later I'm going to look back and I'm starting to feel my age. I already explained this one, why I do not ever want to run for political office again. I have no desire to run for political office. I never wanted to run for political office. Some people think I have an ego. I don't. I don't feel like I have to be the center of attention. I don't really care. If I could do my part being here, helping people be informed, and I think this is where I could better off use my time to make sure you're informed, I'm all for it. I don't need to have power. So you do have maybe in business I do, but not when it comes to politics. I could care less about holding power in this city. I do not thrive on it. Some people do, and that's on them. We try to keep that in check on people that we find that do have that kind of mentality, where they just want to be, the boss, and they want to just do whatever they want to do and screw the public. That's when you run into people like myself. But me, no. I do not have any interest in running for political office, whether it's in this town or the state or anywhere else. So, and I will leave it at that. I actually enjoy what I do here, much more than anything else. So, and I actually enjoy being with you guys. So that's where I'll leave that. This one's a little long. All right, if you're going to send me an email with questions, because I put in my question folder here, try to keep it to maybe 3 or 4 sentences. If you write me a book, it's going to be, I'm probably going to skip right over it. Oh, ooh. I think I explained this one a while ago. Do I find that my politics interferes with my business? And I said no. I think it was last month that we did questions. No, my politics don't really interfere with them. Well, not that I know of, at least. And I probably never know because we're so damn busy that I would never know either way. But no, I don't. I have just as many Democrats that use our service than Republicans. So no, it doesn't bother me at all. Even if it does, if people are gonna sit there and do that off of just my politics, and they got bigger problems. So I don't even think about it. Let's see, what's this one? You would have to ask Susan this one. All right, so in fact, Susan and Paul, I think my mother's on here too. What does your family think of your show? Well, they're all on here, so I think most of them are, at least. I don't know, guys. What do you think about the show? Do you think I'm just a crazy lunatic, or? But they've always thought I was a crazy lunatic, so I'll leave that question to them. Whether or not they love the show or not. Do they watch it off of just guilt that they have to because I'm family? But I doubt that. I don't think they feel guilty over anything if they didn't want to watch it. But I'll leave that for them to answer on their own. I enjoy doing it. That's all that really matters to me. Top fan over there. Yeah, you are. All right, we'll get a couple more here. Guys, you guys send a lot of questions. I do appreciate that because that means you guys are paying attention. You guys are watching, and you're coming over with it. I don't know who Trapper Don is. Who is Trapper Dan or Don? I don't know who he is. So I'll have to. Is that someone who's here? Who is Trapper Don? Because you guys are gonna have me interested. I'm gonna have to go look up and find out who he is. When is Craig Hansen coming on the show? Craig, when are you coming on the show, Craig? Craig, I don't want you getting in any more trouble than you're already in. Just being friendly with me. So, I don't know who he is. Someone's got to give me some information on him. But when is Craig Hansen coming on the show? Okay. Craig Hansen, I guess you could answer that one for everybody if you wish to come on the show. Anyone who doesn't know, Craig Hansen, on here, he is our liberal. He is liberal, but he is an absolute terrific guy. I don't care what anyone says. Craig definitely is a great guy. Meriden resident WPLR guest. He's one that tried. Oh. Okay. I'll have to reach out to him. I don't know who he is. If someone has a contact for him, send it over to me. I'll have to find out and see a little bit about him. So again, I'll leave that to Mr. Hansen to decide. If he ever wants to come on the show, he could always call in at any time. Jessica. Wow. Okay. So Jessica asks, it's kind of another one of these long questions. So, how far would you go with a guest if they were breaking your rules? It would matter what rules they were breaking. If they were breaking a rule, it also depends on the guest. If it's a guest that's coming on for politics and they're trying to blow smoke up or that would probably end pretty quickly, because I would probably confront them right away. I think we did it once with Mr. Cardona when he tried talking about a study that they used for justifying the whole black lives are being killed more by the police. And that was just totally false. And he was called out on it. But again, I think he got back on track after that. So I will always try to put people back on track and get them talking about what the public's here to find out about. If they were to continue on that, on trying to push false narratives, it would probably go south pretty quick because they would be called out on it. If it's someone that's here for just an announcement or for a part of an organization that's just maybe doing something in the community, I probably give them a little bit more leeway on what they're doing. So again, it all depends on the guest and what they're actually trying to do. Anyone who puts in the subject line, Mayor Holloway, is instantly going to get a read from me. Because anyone who doesn't know him, Ernestine Holloway, who used to be the Reverend Holloway, I guess. I don't call her a Reverend because I don't think she ever been a Reverend. But she is my best bud. Me and Ernestine Holloway. Believe it or not, most people just know me and Ernestine Holloway as two people who go at each other. But I've never disliked Ernestine Holloway until she started coming out with this whole racist shit, because she tries to pull that. But believe it or not, me and Aaron years ago used to help her with her book bag drives and her. In fact, it was, believe it or not, catch this trio out. It was me, Ernestine, and Jelks down at Chamberlain Highway. We did an event over at the complex there, the public housing complex. It was myself, Holloway, and Jelks working together to put that on. At the time, I was working for Frontier. I used to grab them the trucks, and I used to grab generators for them so they could run their events at night and everything else, and they could have power for their ice cream machine or the snow cone machine and the cotton candy machine. Again, I don't care what party you're part of. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. If you're trying to do something to better the community and you need help, you can call me. It doesn't matter what political party you're part of. I don't care about stuff like that. When it comes to helping people out, we don't do politics. I don't do politics. I am all about helping the citizen of Meriden out any way I possibly can. And if I could help you in doing that, I am more than willing to do so. And I think that's just another proof of what I do. So I did do an event with Holloway and Jelks, which it went very well. And then it came down to, again, I became the racist because I disagree with them on politics. And for Holloway I found is the biggest opportunist you're ever going to find in your life. She only does things if there's an opportunity for her to get her name out there and to be center of attention. Again, these are the people with the egos. She's one of those. She's one of those people that have the ego, that she needs a stroke and she wants to be praised all the time. And I think Jelks does too. But Jelks not as much. I think Jelks is just misguided and just a complete fucking lunatic. That's how I feel about Jelks. And again, this is nothing I haven't said publicly, especially if you caught my speech at City Council last Monday. I think she is a disgrace to the city and what she is doing. She is an embarrassment to the council, and she is going to drive that council to the ground, and she's going to take every Democrat with her. And if the mayor doesn't watch out, he's going to be going around. He's going to be going down right along with her. But I think he has done a good job at trying to distance himself from her. And I think that is a good move for him to sit there and distance himself from Sonia Jelks. So once I decided that, all right, well, now you're getting into politics. Holloway, I can't help you anymore because we don't agree. even though she was a Republican for quite a while, as far as registration wise. I don't think she was a Republican. Some may think she was. I knew she was. I knew she was an opportunist. She needed Republicans to get onto a ticket. She got onto a ticket, and once it didn't benefit her anymore, she immediately called everybody a racist because we disagreed with her. And again, that just shows me what an opportunist. That's what an opportunist looks like, and I had no tolerance for it, and I was the first one to call her out. That's how I do things. And then she kept going. Then I found out she was paying her daughter out of state money to be a treasurer on her thing, and I reported her. There's only so many times you're going to poke that bear before you turn around and it bites you in the ass. And that's what happened with her. She poked me one too many times, and then she got bit in the ass, and now she's in trouble with the SEC up in Hartford for campaign violations. Because that's your money. When you talk about state races, most people don't realize state races are paid for with your money. Candidates are given taxpayer money to run their campaigns. And now that's good and bad. It's good and bad. I like the program because it keeps everybody on a level playing field where you can't spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a race. Listen, you're given a cap. That's how much you have to spend, whether you're an incumbent for 20 years or you're someone brand new. So that's why I love the program. I hate the program because it's taxpayer money. But that could be a whole different conversation on the weighing the pros and cons of public financing. And we'll do that next year when states are actually up and state candidates are running. So she got in trouble. In fact, she's still in trouble for that. I think they still have open investigations on her. But she's out and about again. She's going to run for mayor again this year. And I believe she's running at large also. Because, if one doesn't work, maybe she'll get the other one. Maybe she'll give us during the last debate she was on, she maybe she gave us a wardrobe change. That was hilarious. I found that to be probably the funniest thing I've seen in quite a while, where you had her in one outfit and hairstyle in the first debate, and then the second debate she was totally someone else. It was absolutely amazing to me. And it was comical. But that's the kind of things that crack me up. But as far as Sonia is just a crazy lunatic. And I think her damage she's going to do for her party and for the council is going to be severe. I just hope that it doesn't do damage to the perception of Meriden before we're able to change her out. So, because once she, like I said during my speech back on Monday, I have never, ever seen a leadership position, someone in the leadership position actually down talk the city they actually represent and the city they lead. Sonia Jelks has badmouthed this city since the moment she took over majority leader. She has put a false perception that Meriden is racist and Meriden has a police problem, a police use of force problem. That is the perception she's put out there. And then she has the balls to turn around and say, well, why is there animosity between the police and city council? Well, why the fuck do you think there is? I got it. They want you to shut your mouth. And then there won't be. But again, my invitation is always open, and I said it now. If Sonia Jelks would like to debate me, my offer is still on the table. I will donate the first $500. I will donate the first $500 to any charity in in Meriden. We'll keep it in Meriden. Me and her will debate, and we will have the Meriden Wallingford NAACP moderate it. We could pick their choosing anywhere they want. We could do this anywhere they want, as long as it's in Meriden, so that Meriden residents could come out. If she is to come on this show or she is to debate me, we will make this a grand event. Grand event. But that's up to her. And I hope she comes on. I hope she decides to do it. I'm all for it. So I think that's the last question we're going to take for tonight. There's still some more, but I think we'll get into those for another day. Because like I said, I like to try to keep it around that hour mark. But great questions as always. Again, I thank everyone for taking the time out to actually write to the show, because I think it's important. I think it helps determine whether or not we're missing things. Again, it's not just to read your messages out, your emails out here and to answer them, but it gives me an indication on whether I'm missing topics that you guys want to talk about, or do I feel like we're going into the weeds on certain things. But I think overall I do enjoy reading them, and I hope you guys enjoy the answers to them. But as always, we have another show coming up on Thursday. We are going to either have Dan or Ray on. We'll see which one of them want to jump on first. They're both pretty loyal to the show. They're usually on here all the time. I see Dan here. I saw Ray's there. So, and this Trapper Don, now I gotta go look him up. And I believe Jen said that he did some work at her house. So I think Jen might probably have a connection for him if he actually did. He trapped my woodchuck. Huh. So this guy seems to be a very interesting fella, and anyone who traps wild animals, I guess, is very. I'm very interested in talking to. So we'll see what he's doing, and maybe we'll have him on. She does. Thank you, sweetheart, and I'll get that from you later. But so until Thursday, guys, as always, have a great week. Started off on a good foot. I see that hopefully we're going to have some. Ray's going to send the contact also. Thank you, sir. Look out for one another. I love each and every one of you. I am going to enjoy my birthday tomorrow. I am going to do absolutely nothing. And if anyone tries to stop me from doing nothing, we are going to have some serious issues. So I just want to sit around and do absolutely nothing for the first time. So until it's Thursday, I love each and every one of you. As always, go out there, be nice to each other, help each other, love one another. And until then, I will see you again on Thursday. Good night, everybody.
And a million faces form together, made for elevation. And my soldier won't surrender faith. It's like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath when you pry it from the cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping and the shadows could be making history. Through the fire, on the water, used to be a slave, but now you are a conqueror.